Hello, good people. Welcome inside another edition. It is the Adam Jones Podcast, Season 3, presented by the Baltimore Banner. I'm Jerry Coleman. He's the five-time MLB All-Star. His name is Adam Jones. And AJ, episode 78, we will be joined once again. Grateful to have the former Orioles skipper, Buck Showalter, back on the podcast. Adam and I will also talk about an incredible homer month for the Orioles in June. And the Orioles hoping to send multiple players like they did in 2014, the last time they did, to the Midsummer Classic. Will they all get there? We'll discuss that. Plus Baltimore and beyond. And how would a U.S. baseball team fare if they were playing at the Olympics? Not this time, but in the future. And then a chance to win a $50 gift card from Lido Pizza during Socially Speaking. But as always, we bring in our featured guests, sponsored by Jimmy's Famous Seafood, where I was last week. I'm back at the home base this week. He is Buck Showalter. Buck, how you been?
Good. I'm still fooling. How about you guys? Jimmy's.
We got a lot going on. I want to know how you've been. I mean, I've seen you on the MLB Network. I know you were in the area recently visiting family. How's it been for you? Because this is the first time in over 2 decades where baseball isn't a part of your summer?
Well, it is. You know, I'm as connected as I want to be. I did the scouting combine for MLB out in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going to do the draft in Fort Worth at the Stockyards. Adam, they picked the Stockyards to have the draft at. You know, I've been to the Stockyards. It's going to be an interesting venue. But, I go up to Secaucus, where the studios are, about once a month and spend a few days, enough to get out of the house and stay married. Adam, you know what I'm talking about. Every year around February, she goes, "Don't you have someplace to go? Just go somewhere." I'm just sitting here listening. Adam played 11 years in the big leagues. Wow. That's pretty cool. I'm so proud of him. Hey, are you taking your pension yet?
Say it again?
Are you taking your pension yet?
No, not yet. No. You get in trouble till you get to 45. Yeah, you get in trouble if you get to 45. No. Financial people have orchestrated a good plan to allow the trips to be allowed.
Yeah, but you got those 10 years in, didn't you?
Yeah, this is year 10.
All the money he's making from this podcast, Buck. I mean, he doesn't need that pension stuff.
Well, I tell you, I hope people realize how lucky they are to be able to listen to Adam. He's pretty entertaining, but it's a big deal, Jerry. You're going to see less and less of guys getting 10 years in the big leagues, especially that many with one club. Adam's rare. I tell you, maybe it's the money they're making or the competition. I don't know, but 10-year guys are getting harder and harder to find.
That's a good question I had for you on that, because when you became a manager in the era when we know Buck, to late 90s, mid-late 90s, you had guys in your team and you traded for guys that were 14-year vets already had 12, 15 years. In this day, why do you think it's so hard for guys to accumulate 10 years?
Adam, that's one of the things I was gonna, I love picking your brain and Jerry's. We all have a different view on it. That's what makes the world go around. If we could all figure that out, the political system would be a lot better off. But anyway, it's the sixth skill, Adam. People talk about 5 tools, but the ability to post up is an acquired skill a lot of times. And I think sometimes we're doing players a disservice with so much load management in the minor leagues. I mean, Adam, when I was 19, 20, 21, I never got tired. I mean, I like somebody had to tell me you're supposed to be tired. But you acquired an ability to post up. I don't know if it probably came from your mom, your grandmother, whatever. Somewhere along the line, we saw an example of somebody going to work and posting up, "Hey, I got a sniffle today." Well, guess what? You're still playing center field, because you're 90% better than that other guy's 100%. And the last time you're 100% is when you got out of the parking lot in spring training. Okay, it's just part of baseball. And I think sometimes just the ability to post up, because I look at games played when I'm thinking about acquiring a player or bringing somebody in. I want to know, hey, he's a really good player. Yeah, but he plays 80 games a year. Well, he ain't a very good player. So that's one of my takes on it. What do you think?
I mean, I think that obviously with the fluctuation of results, I mean, I think it's an era now where you would give, and you're better than knowing what it is, you would give a player 150, 200 at bats. What you got, kid? Everybody keeps talking about you're good. Let me see what you got. Here's 100 at bats just to show. Let's see what you got. Now, these kids, it seems to me, sometimes they get a weekend, and during that weekend, you're going to face Strasburg, Scherzer, and then, you got a travel day to go face like a DeGrom or something when everybody's 0 for 10, and then they say, oh, well, that's your sample size. And I think the analytics definitely don't help with that because they just say, oh, well, look, you're just going to be here for as long as you can be productive. Well, you got to put me in productive situations. No one hits those guys. So put me against a fifth starter, somebody I can have some confidence again, and let me play, let me grind out. I didn't really have that opportunity in Seattle. We had a little bit more veteran team. But when I got to Baltimore, I was able to do that because we didn't have a good team at the time.
You know what's funny is, Jerry, in spring training, there was a method to the madness, so to speak. Adam will tell you, I don't think he had any gray pants in his locker. Mm-hmm. But it was about being able to see the young players play on the road in an uncomfortable situation, see them get 3 or 4 at bats and getting to find something out about them. Also, when our fans from Baltimore came to Sarasota, I wanted them to be assured of seeing Adam and Nick Markakis and J.J. Hardy play. They knew if they went to Sarasota, they were going to see those guys play. But there was a credenza you were building up to the start of the season. You started out, Adam will tell you, they didn't do a whole lot the first week, but there was a plan to get to the end game. Every at bat, and you also had built in there an injury. Something happens every spring to somebody, they need a couple of days off. But there was a method to that madness of taking guys on the road that were trying to prove themselves. I wanted to see them in that hostile environment, overplaying the Red Sox or overplaying the Pirates or overplaying the Yankees. And, they used to joke about not having any gray pants in their locker, but that was by design.
Buck, has the job of manager sort of evolved and changed over the years? Like, is coddling a superstar now part of the job requirement?
You know what? That's been around for Jerry. We act like everything's all new and what have you. And the game is the game. It's still between the lines. You got to do certain things to win. And, I'm not going to be the old guy on the porch screaming at the kids. It's a great game. It's played by great players, and you better embrace them. And that's one reason how you survive is, somebody described me one time as curious. I have a great curiosity. Adam's got a great curiosity. Instead of going, wait a minute, I've never had that before. Stop. Hey, I want to hear it. Come on in my office. Bring what you bring. Let me hear your thoughts on doing this better, or if there's another way. We put together organizational manuals in Arizona. Hey, how'd you do it in Toronto? How'd you do it in Cincinnati? How'd you do it in Kansas City? How'd you do a cutoff relay with a man on first and 1 out and the ball down right field corner? What'd you do with the first baseman? And we tweak things every year. Adam would go, hey, have you ever thought about this? This might be a better idea if we did it this way. And we'd try and go, you know what, that makes sense. Let's change it. And you change things according to the strength of your players. Chris Davis could throw. So we wanted him out in a relay down in the right field corner. Another guy, Mancini was a little more challenged from that. So you have to do things to fit your players instead of having the players fit your system. All right, I got off on a tangent there, but don't get me going.
A lot of people talk about analytics being new. Analytics is not new. And we talked about it years ago about how you was like, man, we were doing this back in the 90s. The Yankees had this information. We were doing this back then. Now it's not as, I don't think it's out there as much as it was because now you got 8 guys in khakis in a polo who are your analytical team. Back then it was maybe one guy or just actually some ball players that could read information. You don't need a damn card to remember something. But can you explain that?
Well, you had another card. You had a guy named Wayne Kirby. If you got off the card,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I call it word salad. We just using different terminology to talk about the same things. We've got a lot more information. We got a backlog where we know for sure. We were what I call an educated guess with a lot of things. My wife, I would bring home the chart from Oneonta in New York Penn League in 1985, and she would take our pitching staff and make humpbacks, straight line, dotted line, line drive, with our pitching staff. Today, and with a different pencil. So the next time we played the Little Falls Mets, we knew where those guys had hit. The problem, it was 5 at-bats. Now you've got 105 at-bats. So you feel a little more confident about it. We're all using basically the same analytical tools for the most part. Jerry, it's just what we choose to weight. If we want to weight an organization on base percentage before we acquire a guy, if we want to weight slugging percentage, it's nowadays a lot of managers, you know what they're going to do because you're looking at the same numbers and the same tendencies. It's really, in some ways, a lot easier to manage. So, players, I don't get, the players are only delivering what we're asking them to deliver. When you're getting paid $10 million a year for hitting 25 home runs and striking out 190 times, whose fault is that? It's not the player's fault. Don't be mad at them.
Well, I will say, in listening to members of the Orioles front office, they sort of changed their approach in that now they're recruiting people not only to work in the warehouse, but players who respond to analytics. I mean, that's what Sig Mejdal was saying in code when I heard an interview recently with him, Buck.
Well, you also, who?
Sig Mejdal, who's the assistant to Mike Elias, and these guys are all about the numbers. I call it nerd talk, but that's just me.
No, I think a lot of people need to keep in mind that I think there's 10 guys on that 40-man roster were there when they got there. Whether it be Grayson Rodriguez, and a lot of those guys were acquired because of the pain that we withstood the last year to get where they draft. But I'll say this, it's one thing to have high picks. It's another thing to pick the right people. There's a lot of people have high picks. I mean, how did Adam go all the way to the 27th pick? There are 26 guys they thought were better than him. Well, something ain't right there. So you still have to, even though you have a top 5 picks, that's why I was so proud of the scouting department that Dan Duquette had. They were drafting, we were drafting in the 20s, way down there. And even the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, take a look where Cedric Mullins was drafted. Take a look where Austin Hayes and Mountcastle, those guys were drafted. They weren't, trust me, the first 5 picks in the country, I just came from the combine. It doesn't take Johnny Super Scout to figure out that they're going to be a good player.
You've seen drafts. I mean, you drafted a lot of players. What goes into that? Like, what really goes into that first pick? And because you don't want to miss. You see a lot of 1-1s, especially in recent years. A lot of 1-1s missed. Some Orioles draft picks have missed. We also made it. I say Wieters, Machado. You got Mattis. I think those are guys that were really good first overall picks. I mean, you got Mountcastle now still carrying along. But then you always have the picks that, like, damn, that you didn't hit on that. What goes into that? And, because fans want to know.
Adam, usually, because there's so many measuring tools, usually the mistake is made when they don't do their homework on the other stuff. I tell scouts all the time, like I said, my son was this guy. So, all right, so you go to a game, and you're watching the pregame and all of a sudden the game gets rained out. What do you got for me? What do you got for me? They go, well, I didn't see the game. I go, well, it doesn't matter. Did you find the mom and dad and sit behind him? Let me tell you something. You go sit behind Adam's mother, there's somebody dropping a hammer on his ass. I can tell you that. Okay? Hey, where's the brother and sister? Go spend some time with them. Take a look at, I got to tell you, look at bodies, because I don't want a guy that's got a full beard when he's 18 years old. That tells you better like what he's got because he ain't getting no bigger and stronger. He's done filled out. Hell, Adam knows I like guys with a big protruding buttock.
Yeah. Can you clarify that? Because on a recent podcast, there was a headline that Buck Showalter doesn't want players with facial hair or big butts.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you got facial hair. Just make sure it's not at 17, 18 years old because it tells you something about you better like what you see. And the guys, you don't see a lot of, I'm not going to get into it. It'll be another headline, but
go ahead, create one.
No, if you look at players, I'm not telling you go around and look at their butt, but there's a certain common look they have. I mean, Adam, not that I look at his butt, but hey, when I first saw him, you can't help it as a scout of players. The expansion draft, Dave DeLucci. I can go right down the line about different guys that we took. Damian Miller, Brian Anderson. There was a certain criteria they fit, but you got to keep in mind there's exceptions to everything. There's exceptions to, and you got to have an open mind. I love guys with the deceptive deliveries. Adam will tell you these guys that are Iron Mike right over the top and they're throwing hard, but they see them so good. And it's like hitting off Iron Mike. I remember we had a guy with the Yankees named Mark Hutton from Australia, threw about 96, 97, and arms, legs, goose gossage at you. And then all of a sudden, some pitching coach smoothed him out where he was right over the top and everything, and they wore him out. And so I like guys that are a little different. Adam will tell you, you get in there and you can't see the ball, and this guy's coming at you with an unconventional delivery. It's not easy.
True.
Hey, I do want to ask you about this year's Orioles compared to last year, and looking down the road, they seem to be a bona fide World Series contender, or are they? Because, this is a team that hasn't won a playoff game since you two were around back in 2014. Do they have what it takes to get where they want to go this year? Or do you think, Buck, they need to pull the trigger on a pitcher?
You know where they got my attention? They got my attention. Adam will tell you where I thought we had turned a corner when we got competitive in 2012 and we were good again, because the weight of expectations with young players, like when you're the little engine that could, it's kind of easy to have a mental edge. It's where you have nothing to lose. Now all of a sudden they came into this season where they weren't sneaking up on anybody. Everybody knew they were good and they were laying in the weeds for them. And they're still doing well. They have a better record than the Yankees. I mean, there's 4 teams with a better record than the Dodgers now. And the way with interleague play and the lack of interdivision play, that's why Cleveland's better than people think. They're not playing all those games in American League Central. I wouldn't go to sleep on Cleveland. But Baltimore, they know who they are. Certainly they have the young players to go get a pitcher, but at what price? At what price? And, sometimes those guys, the Verlanders, the Scherzers, the Price, they don't always play in the postseason. We beat them in 14, but as Adam will tell you, we didn't beat them. We beat their bullpen. As we talked before that series, hey, let's don't go out there trying to beat them. Let's try to get them out of the game before the 7th inning. Now and keep it close with our pitching. So Burns has been great, and I just like the athleticism of the team and the depth that they have. Their what ifs are coming from within instead of having to go get somebody off the waiver wire, and that's what we were able to do. We were able to, little guys like Nate McLouth, guys like that fit us, Markakis, Adam, Hardy. And you could bring in a guy that was kind of on the fence, and all of a sudden he wanted to fit in and be a part of the peer pressure, whether it's Caleb Joseph or Craig Tatum. I could run down names, and Adam knows them well, but those are the difference makers. It's your 5th starter. It's your long reliever. It's your utility infielder. It's your backup catcher. The what-if guys that create one of the best players Texas has is Jankowski. Jankowski's the best 4th outfielder in the game. And I tried to tell them that in New York, but you can't, having a guy like him there. We had McFarland. McFarland would come in and take a butt kicking and just keep and save the pieces for us. And those are important. And, but still, usually the highlight of my months when we'd have an off day at home, which never happened, and I'd hear Adam Jones's truck coming up the driveway. It sounded like Dukes of Hazzard truck with a horn. I hope you ain't still got that.
I don't have the horn anymore.
Hey, we had a couple of donkeys over, and Adam would come over, and the boys would mess with the donkeys. Oh, that was fun. That was a highlight of my day to hear that truck coming up the driveway on the off day at home. He knew better than to come before 12 o'clock, though.
Of course.
My wife would walk in the living room and says, "I think Adam's here." I go, "Yeah, I can hear him."
You've been a part of many trades. You've seen it. You've seen that. You've had the top prospects. You've had guys that obviously the speculation. I mean, with the Orioles right now, I think there's more speculation than any other team about who can they trade, who they need, the plethora of prospects. How hard is it to part with a prospect like that? I mean, with prospects, because again, you do grow relationships. Obviously, you want to give everybody a fair chance. Everybody should be in the big leagues, but you can't all be in the big league. So how is it, understanding and choosing the prospect to trade?
Adam, you're good at this. These are great questions. After a game, Jerry, it always surprised me what they didn't ask. Of course, today's guys, they don't watch the game as much as, they're on the computer trying to be first and trying to, send stuff out. And I got the challenges of their jobs nowadays. But, if you could, as a scouting department, if you can develop a player in the minor league player development, if you can develop a player enough to the point that another club gives him the player that puts you over the top. They should feel a pride in that, just like they acquired this player in the draft. But propaganda is important in your organization. You've got to prop up. What you got to do is decide who's the prospects and who the fake prospects are, so to speak. And I tell you, the Dodgers and Yankees were great at that for years. When we traded Roberto Kelly for Paul O'Neill, and sometimes the city does it for you in some of these publications where they rank prospects, and you, an organization, look at it and go, no, that's not right. That's not right. So you need to identify the real prospects, and that comes from listening to your scouts, your player development people, and whoever you may have in your front office, and you condense this information. So you got a pile over here that let's propaganda these, and maybe somebody will give us that picture for them. But here's the guys we really want to keep for ourselves, because there's nothing more valuable to an organization than a young pitcher under control, not making any money, and able to get people out in the big leagues. They're like gold. They're like gold. If you meet those 4 criteria, trading those guys, you better be real sure you're going to be the last team standing in the promised land before you do it, because you can't find Grayson Rodriguez on every tree. I'm telling you.
More coming up on the Adam Jones Podcast, but first, a word from our sponsors. The Adam Jones Podcast is brought to you by our friends at the Weinman Company. Everyone knows Greenmount Station in Hampstead, but did you know that at Greenmount Station you can bet 7 days a week just like you're at the track? With in-person teller windows and state-of-the-art touchscreen kiosks. And with Greenmount Station's brand new Bet Park Sportsbook, you can bet on all other sports as well, wherever you are in Maryland. Spreads, money lines, live bets, props, parlays, and teasers. The Bet Parks Maryland mobile app is now live for Apple and Android devices, so you'll never miss your next big score. Just search for BetParks MD in the Apple App Store or on Google Play. And for a limited time, 21 and over Adam Jones Podcast listeners can get a $75 gift card to Greenmount Station simply for opening a new account with promo code GMS and a minimum $50 initial deposit. $75 gift card for new users in Maryland only. 21 and over only. Please play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. The Adam Jones Podcast is brought to you by Jimmy's Famous Seafood, Charm City's favorite crab cake destination. Local sports fan? Experience the ultimate pregame party at the tailgate. Cheer on the Ravens with iconic live performances, an open bar, and mouth-watering eats. Can't make it? No worries. Bring the same food that caught the attention of the Food Network right to your doorstep. Shipping East Coast recipes nationwide. Jimmy's Famous Seafood is the official sponsor of the guests appearing on the Adam Jones Podcast.
Take me out to the ball game.
Take me out with the crowd.
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
I don't care if I never get back.
Marylanders are adding a 7th-inning stretch to their day with fast play home run riches from the Maryland Lottery. You could win a progressive jackpot instantly and enter to win cash for Orioles home runs.
It's my new ball game.
If you received ERC funds, listen closely. The IRS has 10 years to audit your claim, but you only have until March 22nd to get taxpayer relief, and the clock is ticking. If you're losing sleep over a possible audit, we'll review your claim. If you made a filing error, we'll set things right. If you're being audited, we'll provide expert representation. The IRS Voluntary Disclosure Program ends March 22nd. You deserve peace of mind. Visit SaveMyERC.com to schedule a consultation today. That's SaveMyERC.com. Effective Solutions, your one-stop shop for commercial contracting. Everything from excavation and site development to emergency remediation and restoration. Effective Solutions specializes in many forms of commercial and mixed-use construction. With a dedicated staff and a commitment to quality, Effective Solutions delivers every time. There are a lot of ways to make whiskey, but there's only one way to make Jack Daniels. At Jack Daniels, they charcoal mellow every drop, only using water from Cave Spring Hollow in Tennessee. When you make your own label, you make everything else yours too. But we don't need to tell you that, do we? Make it count. Jack Daniels. Please drink responsibly. Tennessee whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume. Jack Daniel Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Jack Daniels and Old No. 7 are registered trademarks. 2022. Jack Daniels. All rights reserved. The Adam Jones Podcast welcomes Relief Shop. Shop Maryland's largest adult use and medical cannabis menu, located at 1114 Cathedral Street in Baltimore, with medical delivery available throughout Maryland 7 days a week, only at Relief Shop.
Your fun awaits at Hollywood Casino Perryville. Feed the whole crew with something for everyone, from cheesesteaks to crab cake sandwiches. Plus, ask how you can get a $15 dining credit. Get in on the gaming action with the hottest slots and your favorite table games like blackjack, roulette, and poker. Free live shows every Friday and Saturday. Come experience non-stop fun and excitement only at Hollywood Casino Perryville.
Hey Baltimore, Monument City Brewing has been crafting the best beer in Maryland since 2014. Located at 1 North Haven Street in Baltimore, you've seen us at the ballpark. Now drop by our tasting room. Open Thursday through Sunday with events, music, and great food trucks. And this year we are honored to collaborate with Adam Jones and the Adam Jones Podcast with Simply AJ Ballpark IPA, available throughout the baseball season. It's going to be a great year, Baltimore. Visit us online at monumentcitybrewing.com or follow us on Instagram at Monument City Brewing.
Hey, you work hard, I work hard, and we all like to save money. That's why we need the Royal Farms ROFO Rewards app to get more value for our hard-earned money. With the app, you earn royalty points on every purchase, can place mobile orders for quick pickup, plus a discount at the gas pump with ROFO Pay. We all like to save money, and with the ROFO Rewards app, we do.
Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Keeping Baltimore safe is an incredibly important job, and protecting those who keep us safe is equally important. The Baltimore Police Department leads the nation in supporting its officers with innovative wellness programs, free fitness classes, counseling services, citywide discounts, and more. Right now, the BPD is hiring. Join now and receive a $10,000 signing bonus upon swearing in. Build a meaningful career in public safety with the BPD and get the support you need to serve Baltimore effectively. Apply now at bpdrecruit.org. It's the perfect time to check out a spacious and reliable new Toyota SUV, like a RAV4. With available all-wheel drive and plenty of cargo space, you'll go from errands to adventures in no time. Plus, available features like wireless charging will keep you connected. Or check out a Highlander with seating for up to 8. It's a hub for family adventure. Your Toyota dealer is getting new vehicles in stock regularly, so don't wait. Find deals on a RAV4 or Highlander at buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And now back to the Adam Jones Podcast.
Well, baseball continues to change, evolve. We hear about the possibility of robotic umps. I mean, it's not the same now that Angel Hernandez is out of the game. I don't know if you have an Angel story that you could share with us, but what was it like when you were ejected from a game? The next day you had to deal and converse with that ump. Was everything water under the bridge, or was there animosity?
You know, there's another thing that's changed a little bit about the game. I'm not going to sit here and beat up on Angel until you've walked a mile in a man's shoes. It is what it is, and everybody's got a family and kids and wife and whatever it is. But I always made a point, as Adam knows, that after I got ejected, I was out there the next day at home plate, you know, extending my hand, talking to them. You know, it's part of the game. Now, if they want to be, you know, kind of pissy about it, then God bless them, bring it on. But nowadays, I see these guys hiding in the dugout. Go out there and take it. You know, you get a lot of respect for those guys when you walk out there the next day, if they were wrong or if they were right. And nowadays, it's hard to argue much because everything's decided by replay. I mean, they've kind of taken that out of the game. The only thing that would get me nowadays is the attitude. If some guy was really like bullying a rookie, or just, you know, the guys that had an attitude like the game was beneath them, or they're, you know, walking around like they make no mistakes, or they were talking, you know, some trash to one of our players or whatever, that would put me over that. And then, but I tell you, the umpires, I think for the most part, when you see the percentile of wrong and right, I think what you're going to see is the challenge system come in. I do. And what you're going to find out, Adam, is you're going to find out who on your team ain't full of it. Because somebody can mess it up for the rest of the team. First inning, that's a ball, and it comes back a strike. You're going to have some people in the dugout ticked off at you.
Right. Why is it important and imperative? I say, why is it imperative, a better used word, that a manager gets tossed out when their superstar gets tossed out? If Lindor got tossed out, you got to go. If Manning gets tossed out, you got to go. Why is it that the manager has to go when the big guy goes?
I didn't always follow that criteria. You know, you'll remember, you know, when we first got Manning, you know, and God bless Manning, I've seen him grow as a man and as a father and a husband. And Manning did some things that weren't real good. And I think you remember the meeting we had. I said, you know, Manning, we'll back you on anything. We'll be out there, right, wrong, or indifferent. But what really irritates a team is when you're on the field for an unjust cause. When you're out there banging heads and whatever, supporting your teammate, and he was wrong. And he was wrong. That's tough, man, because you want to be right when you fight a battle. And what happened was our team policed it. They policed it. I didn't have to. We had a lot of things like that. I knew it was going to get taken care of because, Adam and Nick and those guys, they don't mind being on the field, but they don't want to be in harm's way for some stupid stuff that's going on, So I think you pick your spots. A lot of times you do it to keep them in the game, but sometimes you're not fast enough to get there. But I don't know, Adam, I didn't really follow that as much. I wanted T.J. McFarland to feel like I was going to have the same support for him that I was for Chris Tillman, So, yeah. But it seemed that there was a lot more emotion flying around when a guy of that stature, had an issue. What was your best ejection, Adam?
I got two. One was in Boston. It was a 3-1 curveball that I forgot who called it. I mean, it was a ball, but it was Pomeranz. So, it's a big curveball, probably looped around the plate. I said that's some BS. I struck out, so then I was really mad. The next one was funny. It was the young dude, not Showalter, but it was a young umpire, and it was the first inning. I didn't get 3-1 call, bad call. Didn't get the guy in from third base, so I'm mad. I'm sitting there. I'm just talking back, and you're like, hey, calm down. And he said one more thing to me. I said, hey, you don't have enough freaking time. Use a different word. You don't have enough freaking service time to talk to me. You looked at me and was like, did you just say that? And he tossed me the game, and I came underneath. I was like, damn. And that game, we played 16 innings. You remember that game? We played 16 innings. I was in the umpire's room with Jimmy Tyler drinking beer since the 7th.
So you were tossed in the 7th.
I was tossed in the first.
Oh man, you missed 15 innings.
First, I missed 15, and we had chances to score, but we couldn't score, and it was just 0-0. And then I think Scopey or Manny had a walk-off double, triple, and they scored. And I'm sitting there in the back drinking that beer. I'm like, oh shit! I fumbled out in my sandals around, almost slipped because I had to get all the way to the clubhouse from there. That was awesome. They came in there mad. Like, man, 16 innings, you should have showed it. That wasn't even that bad of a swing, man. I remember that.
All right, now that's funny. Okay.
That's a good one.
Now it's funny. It wasn't funny then, was it?
It wasn't fun. No, it wasn't fun. You was like, you just say that? You had choice words too. I'm like, damn.
Buck, I did want to ask you about the relationship you've had over the years with the people that you have worked for, whether it be George Steinbrenner, Peter Angelos, Steve Cohn. You've always had their backs, especially with Steinbrenner and Angelos, both born on the 4th of July, by the way. So a happy birthday this week. Rest in peace to both. But compare and contrast Angelos and Steinbrenner. I mean, were there similarities or were there a lot of differences between working for those two?
I think there were some similarities. I tell you, Peter was special in my life because he got me and I got him. Okay, and we weren't perfect. And Mike Flanagan, God rest his soul, gave me some great advice. Mike used to come over about 1 o'clock, and I had percolated coffee. Adams, you remember? Adam would come get a cup every once in a while. He would need a little help, and he loved to drink black coffee, and I'd let him smoke in my office. Don't tell anybody. And Mike gave me great advice, and we just sit there and talk baseball. Brilliant man. And he said, I'm going to give you some advice that I didn't do, and I wish I had. He goes, go over to his office once a homestand and listen to him and let him vent. He said, you want to keep your coaches and not be having to fire them and all this other stuff? He goes, go over there. So I'd go over, and for about half an hour, he vented on whatever he wasn't happy with. And then we'd order lunch, have a sandwich, we'd laugh and talk and whatever. And there was a continuity of the coaching staff and the players. But believe me, I took some butt kickings over there sometime for, hey, why is Adam Jones doing this? Why is Nick Markakis doing this? Why is, coaches, why is Wayne Kirby this and that? Well, this guy, anyway, pitching coaches. But there was a certain continuity that we didn't have. But Mr. Steinbrenner and him both, they wanted to win, so blindly sometime. And I think some people, misunderstood him. He was great to me and my family. I got to tell you, to this day, I still really respect John, his son, and, Brady Anderson. I talk about it from time to time. I'm still staying in touch with Brady. But, I had Tom Hicks in Texas. I had Jerry Colangelo in Arizona. they're all different, but they're all very competitive men. You know, they want to win, and until you've been in that arena, it's tough for them to identify with what players and the 162 game season is all about. You know, I was at the combine. You know, I said on the air, I said, the one thing, all this stuff, I said, you're playing slow pitch softball. They're throwing 60 mile an hour and they're hitting, and they're, you know, I said, there's two things. Some guy was throwing 91 miles an hour from shortstop. I said, yeah, but he took 3 steps to throw it. The game doesn't work that way. I said, nothing in these drills tells me who can post up for 162 games. You know, that's something you got to go sit with the mom and dad if he's there. You've got to do your homework to get that mentality. I knew very early on that we had a bunch of guys in Baltimore that really liked to compete and wanted to play every day if they could. And it was a difference maker. And it was also a real identification for the fans. And I think to this day, Jerry, it still permeates through that locker room what Adam and those guys established there. When you thought about Baltimore, you thought about, hey, these are some baseball playing SOBs. These guys come to compete, and I can trust them as a fan to go to the game knowing that they're going to show up and they're going to play the game with the same passion that a fan who's been following the Orioles for 20 years has. Okay,
well,
I went to preaching now.
Yankees and Orioles are going at it again this year. One other comparison or contrast, 2 guys that you knew when they were around, Earl Weaver and Billy Martin.
You know, we brought Earl in the spring training, or he came, and we put him in the golf cart and went around. And, you know, when he got that second cup of black coffee, Earl came out. He jumped out of the cart, and there was something we were doing in a drill and this and that, whatever. One of the highlights of my time there, they used to have, they act like we didn't know it in the minor leagues or whatever. They had a 5 system. In other words, if the catcher put 5 down, it was a pickoff. They'd go 5-1, that's a backdoor pick at first, 5-2, and then he'd go left shortstop or second baseman pick, 5-3 was a pick at third base. And I told Earl, I said, we're going to do your 5 series. He called it 5 series pickoffs. Ripken and Brady will tell you about it. So we did a 5-1 backdoor pick at first base during the game. Now, I don't think we got him out, but Earl was sitting next to dugout. I thought I never seen him so happy. He said, that's our play. That's our play. And that was fun. Billy and him, spring training games between those 2 teams were like World Series Game 7. I mean, when I was in big league camp with Billy, I'd never seen more competitive men in a spring training game. Oh, my gosh. Now, keep in mind the owners were sitting there. With the Yankees, we had to beat the Red Sox in spring training, and we had to beat Tampa Bay later on because that's where George lived. And those were must-win games. So our players knew they had to find some gray pants when we went to Winter Haven to play the Red Sox. You played over there. Or the Mets. We played the Mets in St. Lucie. You were making the trip. No questions asked.
The state of baseball, you've gotten to see it in 4 different decades. I'm not going to age you, but 4 different decades is still a blessing. Are you happy with the evolution of baseball?
Yeah, I think as long as the fans are supporting it, it's about, you know, you're doing something that's very important to fans. And who am I to go, like, you want to lose a player, start out with, well, back when I played or back when I did this. I tell guys, I said, you through playing? Well, don't get in the cage. Players don't want to see it. And it might, but is it more entertaining? Is it making fans want to, you know, part of the beauty of the game a little bit, you know, someone said the other day, we've made boring faster. I don't completely agree with that. I think there's a certain beauty of having time to talk about the game between pitches, but it gotten out of hand. I think the players and the pitchers had taken advantage of being able to push the envelope with, you know, there's supposed to be a fraternization rule where you can't talk to players from other teams. Well, they threw that out. Well, there used to be a time restraint that you were supposed to be in a batter's box. Well, umpires quit enforcing that. So they had to put something in to kind of pick up the pace of the game. So I can tell you, broadcasting games now, it's completely different. It's like, man, I did a game the other day, and 2.5 hours, we were walking out the door. I went, oh, my gosh. So, Adam, I wish I could look at it more through a fan's eyes. Do they like the game better? I don't like the strikeouts. I don't like. I like the action. I like defensive plays. I personally would go back to 11 or 12 pitchers. You want to keep people healthier? Well, I heard a great idea the other day. It was make the DH tied to you got to go 5 innings or you lose your DH the rest of the day. I think that pitcher, you know, if your pitcher doesn't go 5 or 6, you lose your DH for the rest of the game. I think if you went back to 12 or 11 pitchers, it would really increase the ability to manage a pitching staff and a bullpen. I mean, we went with 6 or 7 guys a lot in the bullpen, but our starters knew that they were going to suck up some innings, come hell or high water, and we had T.J. McFarland, but when that day it didn't work, but it kept your bullpen guys healthy. I mean, do you remember Darren O'Day or Britton or Brock or Michael Gibbons? Any of those guys hurt? You know, there was they knew the phone. You got a good bullpen, Jerry. When the phone rings and nobody really has to answer it, it's just, okay, I get up. It's my turn. I know the situation. My bullpen coach has alerted me to what's going on. Dom Cheaty's, Yosemite Sam's going, all right, you know the situation's for you. And they know you're going to take care of them. But I think sometimes that part of the game, you better have a 20-man pitching staff the way they do it. And you better have optionable pieces in your bullpen. If you break camp with unoptionable pieces in your bullpen, first, you're going to lose a player in a waiver claim you don't want to lose. And it just paralyzes a team when you're constantly making moves back and forth.
Now, just to clarify, you never called out to the bullpen and no one answered the phone there, right? I mean, someone picked up the phone eventually.
They got to pick it up, but they didn't have to talk to it. I mean, let's face it. It's the 9th inning, and we got a 1-run lead. I don't really have to call down and tell them to get Britton or Jimmy Johnson up, okay?
Sure.
That ain't brain surgery. All right?
Now they're using the telephone all the time for replays, to call out to the bullpen. I mean, thank goodness they have the phone.
Well, after the 7th inning, if you got to tell them who to get up, you're probably not managing your bullpen real well. But I look down there now, and they're talking about having the manager go just by eyeballing it instead of going back to the replay guy. You know, the replay guy, I had a great one with the Mets, and I used to tell him, I go, Harry, if you're wrong all the time, we'll get somebody else. If you're right all the time, you keep your job. But if you sit on the fence and go, oh, that's a tough one, Buck, I don't know. I said, it ain't going to work. It's like the team doctor. I go, here's the deal. You're a doctor. I'm not going to tell somebody how to land a plane. I'm not going to tell a heart surgeon how to stitch the aortic valve. So you're the doctor. You tell me if Adam Jones should go on the IL or not. But if you're wrong all the time, we'll get somebody else. But if you sit on the fence and go, ooh, that's a tough one, could be 5, could be 10, that ain't going to work either. You know, Mike Jacobs still talks about it. You know, we got real blunt with each other because, you know, a good team doctor looks at the makeup. He may say, hey, this guy, you might as well put him on the DL. But Adam Jones, probably in 3 or 4 days, he'll be able to play and you won't have to put him on that big DL. So he knew the makeup of his players a little bit, guys that might, you know, let you feel every ounce of discomfort they may be feeling. You know, but then you got the guy that's going to play through it and not want you to know. So a good team doctor understands the makeup of his players. I tell you that the Navy doctor, oh gosh, don't tell me I'm going to lose.
Wilkins.
Pardon?
Dr. Wilkins.
Wilkins was outstanding. You talking about reading makeup? He and Jacobs were a big part of making good decisions on trading for players or signing players in the offseason. They didn't miss on that part of it. They were right on the button.
All right, I want to finish with this because Adam and I have argued on the podcast and off the podcast about this concept. I was talking about it with our producer before Adam even came on. This past Sunday night, Orioles were on Sunday Night Baseball. The broadcast crew mic'd them up, which bothers me. I feel like that's intrusive and takes away from the game. I don't know if you learn anything. I'd love to hear your thoughts as a manager. Plus the fact they gave Gunnar Henderson a new pair of shoes. He struck out 3 times with them and then decided to change them. Who does that?
Well, I can see right now kerosene on those shoes. Adam would take them off after the second at bat and fire them up at the end of the dugout. You know, listen, first of all, Adam's going to talk, for instance, regardless, just his personality.
Yes.
You put yourself a little bit in harm's way. Here's the deal. If the players love it and want to do it and it enhances the fans, I got it to a point. But you can ask Adam how that conversation would have probably gone with, let's say, Manny Machado. Hey, Buck, they want to mic me up for tonight's game against the Yankees. What do you think?
No.
What's your thought on that?
I mean, it's both. It's both. It's the fan experience. It's both the fan experience. I think. It's questions. I know people at home. A lot of people always ask, "What was that? What did they say?" They always try to read our lips on TV to see if we said something. Then they tweet about what they thought we said. As a center fielder, it would have been completely different because I'm so far from the action to where, a fly ball hit, I can be calm and, I'm talking out there anyway. It might be easier. But as an infielder, there's too much going on for infielders. I mean, I think spring training is a great time to do it.
The All-Star game, right?
All-Star games are great. Get a guy on the bench, maybe the previous day's starter, get him to talk about it. But it's for infielder, that's really hard because there's so many moving parts, especially playing against the Rangers who are moving on base, this. The infielders have the call to second. They got signs from the catcher. It's just too many moving parts for me.
I was just thinking, watching Adam talk, he's so smart, but I got to tell you one story before we go. I was thinking about it last night when I knew we were going to do this. Adam, you remember the first thing we'd do in spring training every year, and it was a little message here. We'd take infield the first day.
Mm-hmm.
And
first day.
Back then, I guess it got to the point where people didn't do that. We had to let the arms get loose. But there was a little message there. Hey, we're getting after this. This is day one. If you ain't ready, you ain't been working. We had a guy, Seth Smith, come over. Adam, you can tell the rest of the story.
I think Adam knows the story by the look on his face.
Oh, he's in right. I think he's throwing from right, Adam. And it starts in left field. You throw 2 to second, 2 to third, 2 to plate, and then center fielder. And it's coming over to Seth. And, Markakis, that's the only time Markakis threw all spring. But he aired it out one time, and he'd say, "There it is, Skip, okay? I just let you know it's still there." And by the time we got around to Seth, he was just about crying, wasn't he?
He was like, "Man, what the hell are we doing out here?" I'll take infield. We get it. We don't run. We don't do nothing in this outfield. We get it out the way early.
Hey, Kirby was on him like stink on oh my God, like water on a June bug. Kirby, you got to get off him. I think he went to Ole Miss, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kirby, hey man, he said, "This is the big leagues. I don't know where you came from." He said, we practice here. Oh, I started laughing so hard.
I think we'll end on that fabulous note. Buck, thanks. The pleasure and privilege was ours. Please don't be a stranger.
Hey,
Skip, appreciate it.
Hey, when you got to worry is when they quit asking. It's like an autograph, right?
Very, very true.
Adam, I'm going down to Tractor Supply Company right now. You need anything?
No, okay. I'm okay. Well, I'll see you this summer. See you in a couple of weeks.
Okay. God bless y'all. Take care.
Thanks, Buck.
Thanks, Skip.
Boy, I always love hearing from Buck. Isn't it great to reminisce?
I mean, my favorite part is his shtick. He always has those sayings that I don't have any idea what they really mean, but they make sense, but they don't. But he's old school. I mean, he's from the South, from Alabama, so he's got that draw. But no, he's great for the game. I know he's not managing, but he works with the network. He's just great to be all around, and he's always somebody you can pick their brain. He's never been somebody that's like off limits to somebody. Like, no, I don't want to talk to you. If you want some advice, if he can answer it, he'll try to answer it.
The one thing I'll say about him, he gets it. Buck Showalter.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
All right, we shift to our For the Birds segment. It's sponsored by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. Adam, hey, when you play the Maryland Lottery, set limits. Never play when you're stressed. And know your odds of winning. To learn more, visit mdlottery.com/play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to play. Adam, the Orioles just completed a very challenging month in June, and now we're into July, of course, but they played 29 games in 30 days, yet they hit a club record 60 home runs. The balls kept flying out. An incredible month for Anthony Santander, but we gave Gunnar some good karma. He started to tear it up again after he left the podcast, but the team collectively, I've never seen anything like this.
I mean, they've been playing unbelievable baseball, top to bottom, pitching, defense, and obviously the home runs have been going out the ballpark. Santander just got hot. He had 2 slow months, And that's just how it is. Look at Judge's first 6 weeks. People are saying, "Oh, he lost it. Now he's all world." So seasons are long, man. Seasons are long. Especially in Baltimore early in the year. The weather is so finicky. It could be cold. It can be damp. The rain. It's always a rain delay at some point in time. But then it heats up. We all know when it heats up, the ball flies a little bit better. And those guys have just been hitting the cover off the ball. And the cool thing, what I love about Santander is he's been able to get rest. Obviously, with him and O'Hearn doing the DH, he's been able to get off his feet and be able to stay healthy and be able to produce. Gunnar has had 5 this month, or in the last month. So did Adley. I mean, it was just a collective team. You watch them all; they just played good baseball for the whole month, and you just wanted to continue into the All-Star break to let them all, decompress, get a little break.
Of course, Gunnar was on with us last week. You asked him the billion-dollar question about the home run derby, which he made official on the 4-letter network last Sunday night, even though we had it first. But they're expected to send multiple starters to the Midsummer Classic. The last time they sent more than one, you and Nelly Cruz back in 2014. It's been that long. By the time this podcast is out today, the lineups will be released. So we're speculating, and we'll see who's correct. Because for me, I think there's some guarantees for getting to the All-Star game. Adley, Gunnar, Mountcastle, Westberg, and I would say Corbin Burns for me are the strongest of the group.
Yeah, for sure. My only 2 things I would say with Westberg, it's going to be him, or for the starters, going to be him or Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez is obviously a tenured player who, he's done it before. He's a 6-7 time All-Star already. So it's generally the tenured player gets that nod. But no, what Westbrook has done this year, he's the silent assassin. I mean, the guy just plays great baseball. Like, he's the guy you want. Just here, I want you on my team. You play great baseball. But no, I remember we had starters. It was in 2013. It was me, JJ
Manny?
Leaders. We got to start. Manny didn't start in 2013. I think that was Beltre, and that was in New York. But we've had 5-6 All-Stars at a time, and it's amazing. My first All-Star game, I went by myself. Then Weeders goes the next year; he's by himself. Then the following year, I think it's Weeders by himself again. And then 2012, we get multiple guys. No, it was until I'm sorry, it was me by myself. And then 2013, we get multiple guys, and that's so much cooler. Like, instead of just seeing just one Orioles bag, there's 5 Orioles bags in the All-Star locker room. Like, that is cool. And that means that your team is being successful. Because generally, guys, you get one guy. So the A's are going to have a guy. The White Sox are going to have a guy. But when you have multiple guys, that means that your team is doing well and is doing successful. So it's something to really, really appreciate and really, really share with your teammates.
All right, real quickly regarding the home run derby, they've changed the rules a little bit to make it more spaced out, because let's face it, you guys don't practice at that rate at any point during the regular season, seeing the balls come at you that quickly and having to take that many swings in a short amount of span. And I guess some people speculate it could lead to injuries. How do you feel about the change?
Well, people outside of the game always speculate stuff. Baseball players don't speculate anything. We don't speculate nothing.
Why do you think they changed?
Any way, I guess, to I don't know, to make it a better experience for the player. You haven't hit the ball, and then you get it had to hit the ground before you could take another swing. Then the previous way was 10 outs. I just think there's just creating new ways to make it interesting. When you see a clock up there, I think it's cool. When you see a clock winding down, you got 5 home runs, someone has 7, and you see 30 seconds left, and you're trying to get those 2 home runs. I think that's cool. The athletes don't care. It's not bothering us. It's not affecting us. It's not hurting us in any shape. I think, the players who get involved with it are creative with it, and they enjoy it. And I'm glad they said the rules early, so guys now can prepare for things like this, because you got to see guys prepare for the Derby, because, again, you get $1 million, so it's very important. But it's such a fantastic experience, and I'm glad that he's done it, because you follow him in myself, CD, Rutschman last year, Manning has done it. So you got some guys that it's pretty cool to see some black and orange in that home run derby.
Absolutely. It sort of reminiscent to what the NBA did with the slam dunk contest and trying to speed that up so you can't miss 15 dunks. Get the thing over with at some point.
Yeah, man. In the dunk contest, you need 3. You should have 2 attempts. I mean, I remember there was a time 2 attempts, man. Come on, you ain't figured out by that. I'm not giving you 100. If it looked cool the first time, I'm not. If you did it the third time, I'm not giving you 100.
No. Let's move beyond Baltimore, a national and sometimes international perspective. Brought to you by our friends at Relief Medical Marijuana Dispensary, where they go above and beyond to help you. And let's talk Olympic baseball, long considered America's pastime. Team USA, I think, would be a shoo-in for a gold if the sport was an event in 2024, or would they be? Let's discuss the possibilities, because baseball is returning to the Olympics in LA in 2028, according to Commissioner Rob Manfred, though. He said it would be difficult to pause the season to play the Olympics and allow major leaguers to go away from their respective teams. How would that work out?
It won't work out. It can't work out. Japan did it because the Nippon Baseball League, they shut down for 3 weeks for the Olympics. They did that, and they wanted their best players. Japan did that. Korea did that. MLB is not doing that. You tell owners, hey, look, I'm about to shut the season down for 3.5 weeks. You're going to miss out on whatever percent, whatever this number is. All of them unanimously is going to say, hell no. So that's why, in the Olympics, we won in 2000, but they were able to use some major leaguers, a few. Most of the time you use a lot of minor league guys to fill the team. But it's tough to get major league guys in the middle of the season because it just is what it is. It's money. Those people want money, and it's not gonna change those owners' ideas no matter what. They're not gonna give those games up. It would be great if you can see that and play in Olympic gold, but it's just not gonna happen.
Because they have the World Baseball Classic already, correct?
That's why they created the World Baseball Classic, so you can get America's best players and the world's best players. Because again, even the Latin countries, they're not allowing people to take over and come into their house and do all that kind of stuff. No, they're not doing that. So you get the Olympic guys when it comes to the Olympics. You get the either really good college guys, or you wait for the WBC and you get the big boys.
All right, very good. Let's put a bow on tie on things with Socially Speaking. This is where we answer a tweet or something from X on social media, Instagram, even Facebook. You qualify for a chance to win a $50 gift card from our friends at Lido Pizza, proud partner of the Baltimore Orioles and the official pizza of the Adam Jones podcast. We're at Adam Jones Pod. That's right, they're official. We're at Adam Jones Pod on social media. And as we mentioned, we had Gunnar on last week. You asked him about the home run derby. Social media responded. Eric Locke at Eric Locke wrote, if he wants to do it, then I want to see him in it. Not going to say I hope he doesn't get to have a cool experience, because maybe possibly there's a chance it negatively impacts his swing. Does it affect the swing? You were talking about this earlier. I don't think you feel like it affects the swing.
Well, from someone who's done it, physically done it, not someone who's watched it, it doesn't bother you.
Doesn't.
You see, look at Adley last year. Doesn't bother you. People are going to go and say, oh, Jose Abreu, or no, not Jose Abreu, Bobby Abreu, 2005, he set the record at the time, and then he had a bad second half. Well, he just had a bad second half. I mean, there's no jinx to this. It's just he had a bad second half. Adley had a great second half. Gunnar, I don't think it really matters in that regards. As just a whole fan, somebody who didn't do it, trying to chime in, really. I mean, I think Gunnar should do it. And especially with a guy like him who has power to all places, he doesn't just have to pull the ball. He hits the ball all over.
All right. Well, again, he's going to do it, and hopefully he does very well. I mean, it's one of the highlights of the All-Star Game week every year.
Oh, man, there's a few of them. They do a few events now at the All-Star Game, and it's pretty awesome now. HBCU Classics on Friday night, the Futures Game. It's a really, really good event in how they do everything.
All right, let's take a moment to acknowledge our sponsors that power this podcast. Go out and support the following folks because they support us.
The Adam Jones Podcast is brought to you by our friends at the Weinman Company. Everyone knows Greenmount Station in Hampstead, but did you know that at Greenmount Station you can bet 7 days a week just like you're at the track? With in-person teller windows and state-of-the-art touchscreen kiosks. And with Greenmount Station's brand new Bet Park Sportsbook, you can bet on all other sports as well, wherever you are in Maryland. Spreads, money lines, live bets, props, parlays, and teasers. The Bet BetParks Maryland mobile app is now live for Apple and Android devices, so you'll never miss your next big score. Just search for BetParks MD in the Apple App Store or on Google Play. And for a limited time, 21 and over Adam Jones podcast listeners can get a $75 gift card to Greenmount Station simply for opening a new account with promo code GMS and a minimum $50 initial deposit. $75 gift card for new users in Maryland only. 21 and over only. Please play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. The Adam Jones podcast is brought to you by Jimmy's Famous Seafood, Charm City's favorite crab cake destination. Local sports fan? Experience the ultimate pregame party at the tailgate. Cheer on the Ravens with iconic live performances, an open bar, and mouth-watering eats. Can't make it? No worries. Bring the same food that caught the attention of the Food Network right to your doorstep. Shipping East Coast recipes nationwide. Jimmy's Famous Seafood is the official sponsor of the guests appearing on the Adam Jones podcast.
Take me out to the ball game.
Take me out with the crowd.
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
I don't care if I never get back.
Marylanders are adding a 7th-inning stretch to their day with fast play home run riches from the Maryland Lottery. You could win a progressive jackpot instantly and enter to win cash for Orioles home runs.
It's my new ball game.
If you received ERC funds, listen closely. The IRS has 10 years to audit your claim, but you only have until March 22nd to get taxpayer relief, and the clock is ticking. If you're losing sleep over a possible audit, we'll review your claim. If you made a filing error, we'll set things right. If you're being audited, we'll provide expert representation. The IRS Voluntary Disclosure Program ends March 22nd. You deserve peace of mind. Visit SaveMyERC.com to schedule a consultation today. That's SaveMyERC.com. Effective Solutions, your one-stop shop for commercial contracting. Everything from excavation and site development to emergency remediation and restoration. Effective Solutions specializes in many forms of commercial and mixed-use construction. With a dedicated staff and a commitment to quality, Effective Solutions delivers every time. There are a lot of ways to make whiskey, but there's only one way to make Jack Daniels. At Jack Daniels, they charcoal mellow every drop, only using water from Cave Spring Hollow in Tennessee. When you make your own label, you make everything else yours too. But we don't need to tell you that, do we? Make it count. Jack Daniels. Please drink responsibly. Tennessee whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume. Jack Daniel Distillery, Lynchburg, Tennessee. Jack Daniels and Old No. 7 are registered trademarks 2022. Jack Daniels, all rights reserved. The Adam Jones podcast welcomes Relief Shop. Shop Maryland's largest adult use and medical cannabis menu located at 1114 Cathedral Street in Baltimore, with medical delivery available throughout Maryland 7 days a week, only at Relief Shop.
Your fun awaits at Hollywood Casino Perryville. Feed the whole crew with something for everyone, from cheesesteaks to crab cake sandwiches. Plus, ask how you can get a $15 dining credit. Get in on the gaming action with the hottest slots and your favorite table games like blackjack, roulette, and poker. Free live shows every Friday and Saturday. Come experience non-stop fun and excitement only at Hollywood Casino Perryville.
Hey Baltimore, Monument City Brewing has been crafting the best beer in Maryland since 2014. Located at 1 North Haven Street in Baltimore, you've seen us at the ballpark. Now drop by our tasting room. Open Thursday through Sunday with events, music, and great food trucks. And this year we are honored to collaborate with Adam Jones and the Adam Jones podcast with Simply AJ Ballpark IPA, available throughout the baseball season. It's going to be a great year, Baltimore. Visit us online at monumentcitybrewing.com or follow us on Instagram at Monument City Brewing.
Hey, you work hard, I work hard, and we all like to save money. That's why we need the Royal Farms ROFO Rewards app to get more value for our hard-earned money. With the app, you earn royalty points on every purchase, can place mobile orders for quick pickup, plus a discount at the gas pump with ROFO Pay. We all like to save money, and with the ROFO Rewards app, we do.
Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Listeners, tell your friends. The Baltimore Police Department is hiring the next generation of officers. Starting salary is over $61,000. Plus, you'll receive an additional $10,000 signing bonus upon swearing in. Apply today to start your career in public safety. This is a great opportunity to serve the city you love and start a career that makes a difference in your community. Apply now at bpdrecruit.org. That's bpdrecruit.org. bpdrecruit.org. It's the perfect time to check out a spacious and reliable new Toyota SUV. Like a RAV4 with available all-wheel drive and plenty of cargo space, you'll go from errands to adventures in no time. Plus, available features like wireless charging will keep you connected. Or check out a Highlander with seating for up to 8. It's a hub for family adventure. Your Toyota dealer is getting new vehicles in stock regularly, so don't wait. Find deals on a RAV4 or Highlander at buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Thanks to senior executive producer Chip Franklin for putting this latest episode together. Chip's not only into politics, he's also into ignoring all my emails. Go out and subscribe to the Baltimore Banner. Until next week, be kind, be real, and make sure to be back for next week's edition of the Adam Jones Podcast.